You're the vice chairman. Would you like to get this committee meeting started?
Would I like to get it started, or are you asking if I'm prepared to get it started?
How about a little of both?
Well, being that I don't have the agenda in front of me, if I try to get back on my computer to get it, we'll probably lose the,
Okay, well, we'll let Bev run the agenda. But you as the vice chair will have to approve stuff.
okay?
All right, so Bev, are you live?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go ahead and do the roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Here,
Mr. Vaughn. Here. Mrs. Dubberly. Here. Mrs. George Ellis.
Here.
Mr. Lydic is absent. Mr. Naylor. Mr. Naylor.
He's showing he's on. But he's muted.
Mr. Naylor, can you hear us? Mr. Naylor?
He's not muted, so something's wrong.
He's not muted on our end.
Okay, he was. I saw the symbol up there for a couple of minutes ago, a couple of seconds ago. It went away.
There he is.
Mr. Naylor?
I heard him for a second.
Mr. Naylor?
Now he's muted. I think he's messing with his buttons, and now he's unmuted.
Mr. Naylor?
I'm here.
Great. There we go. All are present and accounted for. The approval of the past minutes for August 4th meeting.
Has everybody had a chance to review those meeting minutes
I wasn't here.
for the Board of Adjustment?
Yes.
Okay, we get a motion?
Mr. Young, are you asking for me to make the motions when, for this procedure?
Yes, sir. For you to call for the motions.
Okay, well, I call for the motions, for the meeting.
I'll make the motion that we accept.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, on roll call, we will have to do a voice, a name call, roll call on it.
Mr. Adele?
Here, yes.
Mr. Vaughn?
Here, yes.
Mrs. Dubberly? Yes. Mrs. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Lydic is absent. And Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Thank you. The new business we have is petition SE Special Exception 26. It should be presented by Denise Smith, who is owner of the Taylor Prep Daycare. She's asking for a special exception to put a daycare in a commercial, general, and a residentially zoned parcel located in that district of parcel number 13198-000. Ms. Smith, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Dave, did you want to swear her in and everyone else?
Okay, if you're presenting, which one are you, Ms. Smith?
She has petition SC 26 and
Yeah, I
B 25.
On which phone or which?
Wave at us.
Can you wave at Mr. Dave, please?
Oh, okay, there you are. Okay. Can you see me now?
Oh, yes, sir, I can.
Okay, if you would, raise your right hand.
Mhm.
And do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're to give in this special exception is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right. You can proceed with your presentation, telling the committee what you would like.
Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Denise Smith, and what I'm trying to do here in Lake City is open up a 24-hour daycare center that will have medical, that will also have security. Because I noticed once I became a single parent that was the thing that I was having the most issue with. I work in law enforcement, and a lot of my coworkers was also having the same issue. And so I found this building, and I felt like it was the perfect building, square footage and yardage to have enough play area for all the children to accommodate as many children as I can. And I reached out to the owner and we talked about it. And he also agreed that it will be a good spot. And he approved me using his facility for that. And we spoke about a deal about me actually purchasing this facility from him to give 24-hour childcare.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions of the proponent from the committee members?
Well, what I read here is it's a variance requested for additional parking, requesting a relief from
Mhm.
asphalt, concrete. That's what we're dealing with here.
No, sir, this is the special exception only. The variance will be brought next unless you decide to discuss it both.
I'm sorry.
She's got A and B.
Right.
I'm sorry, I got the wrong thing here.
Not having to do with this, but she said they were gonna provide medical.
Mhm.
What kind of medical care are they gonna be providing?
Did you hear her?
I didn't. She was a little bit low.
You had indicated you would be providing medical on a 24-hour basis. What type of medical care do you plan to provide?
No, the medical won't be 24 hours. That will be doing business hour daytime. And that will be a licensed LPN or even a experienced CNA that will be able to have the children who may have things like common cold, bug flu, things that will normally not allow that child to go to a regular daycare because they don't have an infirmary or a room that is for children who have just common cold or anything. Because most people they don't want to mix their children with other kids who are already sick that may have common cold or flu, but people still have to go to work. So this will give that one room that's dedicated just to that. So they will just, make sure that the child is not getting feverish. If they are, just maintaining that. If the parents have already taken that child to a physician and given any type of medication, they'll be able to give that prescription, on time while that parent is at work.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Questions from anybody in attendance? All right.
Mr. Young, are you considering A and B at the same time, or you want to vote it on separately?
They will have to be done separately.
Okay,
Okay, can we close? Correction of A on this request. I move we close public hearing.
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have to do a roll call or not?
We have to do roll call.
Okay. I didn't quite hear all that she said.
They have to do roll call at this time to approve your procedure.
Closing, we got a motion to close public hearings for right now.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Bev.
We need a motion to approve or deny and a motion to second, please.
Now, this is to close public hearing. Motion to close public hearing.
On 20-6A.
Yes.
Okay, so we need a roll call vote on it.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly, Ms. Georgelis, Mr. Nyler,
Yes.
and Mr. Luddick is absent. Motion has been approved.
Yes, thank you.
No,
Okay, now,
Now we gotta ask for discussions
yeah,
within the board.
discussion amongst the board members.
Since there's no discussion, I'll make, I guess, ask for the motion to approve or disapprove petition SE 20-6.
I make a motion, we approve as submitted.
second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond, Ms. Dubberly, Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Luddick is absent. Our next petition is also Ms. Smith for variance 2005, the same parcel 131980000, asking for relief for asphaltic 2 parcel, or excuse me, asphalt 2 asphaltic parking surface.
Ms. Smith, you're already sworn in, so you can proceed with your telling the committee your request for the parking.
That's why they can't read it.
Okay, so the front, I don't know if you guys have a copy here of the layout that I have here of the whole property. In the front yard, it's grass, but it is hard and solid ground. So whenever it rains, it doesn't get mushy where a car or vehicle gets stuck or maybe spin out. So that's why I'm asking for relief, because I am bootstrapping this thing, and that will be like take a big chunk out of what I have to go into this daycare to pave the whole front yard, because that's half of an acre of the front yard that is already allocated for parking. But there is a cut that can be created as a roundabout, and I can even do have a blocked area where you have to go around to go in one area and come out of another area instead of paving the whole thing. I feel like that'd be more cost efficient.
All right. Any questions of the proponents from the committee members?
The circle driveway you're talking about, not the U-shaped driveway, is that coming off of 90?
It is coming off of 90.
Thank you.
Any questions from the public? Mr. Adele, would you like to make the motion to do the public hearing close?
Yes, well, I'll ask someone from the board to make the motion. We can move forward on petition V 20-5.
Move the hearing on petition 20-5 to close.
Second.
All in favor? I guess we need a roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. Georgelis? Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Luddick is absent. All approved.
Thank you.
And I guess you'll get with the staff there at the planning and zoning.
Is there any or any discussion now that the hearing closed by the board?
Now,
No,
Would you like to vote to approve or disapprove the variance?
I move to approve.
Second,
Mr. Adele,
yes,
Mr. Bond,
yeah. I get it
Miss-
right.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis? Mr. Naylor?
yes,
Mr. Lightick is absent. All have approved. Our next petition,
Congratulations, Ms. Smith.
I'm sorry.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. And I hope to meet you all.
The next petition is going to be presented by Dr. Kevin Harris. Petition 20-6 concerning parcel 07610-207. This is also for a variance from relief of the asphaltic 2 parking area for commercial general zoning district located next to his medical practice. Dr. Harrison, do we have you?
yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, Carol Chadwick here as engineer for Lake City Chiropractic.
Mr. Young, would you swear them in, please?
Hey, who's gonna do the presenting?
I will be.
Okay. Can you see me, Carol?
Yes,
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this special exception or variance is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
yes.
You may carry on with the presentation, Ms. Chadwick.
Good evening, everyone. I am here to represent Lake City Chiropractic. They are in need of additional parking for their existing building, and they are proposing to use the lot that they own adjacent to the building for additional parking. There'd be 30 spaces, and it will be surfaced with recycled asphalt pavement. The drainage was already anticipated for a certain percentage of impervious for this lot, so the drainage will not be an issue.
Okay, well, you do realize that asphalt milling is considered impervious by the Suwannee River Water Management, correct?
Yes, and it was already, there was this impervious surface was already taken into account with the master drainage plan for the that area.
Okay.
I'd-
Because if you're putting the millings down, we don't need a variance.
I believe this was for a special exception because it's just the parking lot.
I'm showing it as a variance. Yeah, to allow for relief of the asphaltic type 2 parking.
Okay,
Yeah. If you put
right.
millings down, that's considered the paving the parking per Suwannee River Water Management.
Mr. Young, the application does say overflow parking on grass, milling at a later date. Do they need this variance until the milling can be established?
Okay, y'all gonna place the millings now or at a later date?
I guess at a later date.
Okay, then we
So,
need the variance.
Yeah.
Any
Okay,
questions from the public?
I don't have a question. I've got a comment.
all
Can
right.
you state your name, please?
Yes, this is Dr. Reeve Abraben. I've got Lake City Family Dental Center. I'm the tenant in the same building with Dr. Harrison. And I just want to express the need for the additional parking. When it was just me in the building, the parking lot was sufficient. But now that he's in there with his busy practice, there's spillover into the cul-de-sac down the hill. Some people are parking in the grass up where the subject property itself. So it's really a necessity that we have additional parking at this time. It's really overcrowded.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other questions from the public? Mr. Adele, would you like to close the public hearing?
Yeah, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mrs. Dubberly? Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent.
Discussions.
Discussion among committee members?
If we don't have any discussions, I guess we move for a motion on V 20-6.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. All approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next petition is from James Stevenson. He's the agent for Alan Coleman for variance 27, parcel 061818-000. This is also a variance in a commercial intensive zone district to allow for relief of the asphaltic 2 parking area. Mr. Stevenson, are you here? Mr. Stevenson?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Young, would you swear him in, please?
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead and present.
I'm here requesting a variance for the asphalt parking lot. I'm part owner with my wife, Kelly Stevenson, here at Global Liquidations. We've operated out of this storefront for right at a year. And we've had no issues with the parking, along with the additional parking that we have in the rear of the building. It's presented on our sign up front. So when drivers are coming in, they know if the parking lot is full on the front, they can go ahead and park in the rear.
Are there any questions from the public? Mr. Adele, would you close the public hearing?
Yes, we need a motion, someone to call for a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
All right, discussion amongst the board. If you have any. If we have no discussions, I guess we need to call for a motion to approve or disapprove P 20-07.
I move approval.
I'll second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Lydic is absent. All approved. Thank you.
Do we have any
Mr.
old business?
Do we have any old business to discuss? Workshop?
If none, we'll need a motion to close the
I
Board of
got one workshop that's gonna be on each one of the committees. And that is, we need to, at our next meeting, start discussing the election for a chairman and a vice chairman. We have to do it annually, so that'll be coming up in January. So we will need to have a little workshop to determine how you want to do it and nominations and so forth.
Are you gonna make it a prerequisite? Some of the new people have to take those positions?
Do what?
Are you gonna make it a prerequisite that some of the newer members have to take those positions?
Well, the chairman and vice chairman can only serve a maximum of 2 consecutive years.
All right, good.
You could be president, Mr. Adele.
I think I've been there before.
All right.
Would you like to adjourn the meeting, sir?
For me,
Yes, Mr. Adele.
Make a motion.
I think someone needs to make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Everybody's confused. Everyone else, please stay tuned for the next meeting. This roll call is just to close this portion of this meeting. Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond? Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Lydic is absent. Now we move on to the Historic Preservation Board meeting. I'll start off with one more roll call for that. Mr. Adele,
Here.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly,
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Lydic is absent. Our first item is approval of the past minutes for August 4th, 2020, please.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from the last meeting of August the 4th.
Do we have a second, please?
Roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Lydic is absent. First new business is petition COA 2016 by JD Field Services. Their representative is John Eldridge. This is for parcel 127740000. This is in the historical Lake Isabel district and is for a petition for a re-roof. Mr. Eldridge, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, would you please explain your petition after Mr. Young signs you in?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can proceed with your telling the committee what you would like.
Well, the roof on the house right now is old tin roof, and it's been leaking pretty bad, and also has 2 layers of shingles underneath the tin roof. And we're wanting to take it all the way down to the wood and then put a new Galvalume roof on it. and repair any wood. We can see some wood rot from inside the attic area. So we got to go down all 3 layers to get to that. So we're wanting to do a new roof on the whole thing. And we're going to go back with a new like Galvalume. A lot of the houses around that on that street have the same color and style roofs.
Do we have any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Adele, would you like to close the public hearing?
Does I need a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion, we close it.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Deverly? Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Laddick is absent. All have been approved. Discussion amongst the board, please.
Sounds good.
I make a motion that we approve the 20-16.
Mhm.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Deverly? Mr. George, Miss George Ellis?
Yes.
Pardon me. Ms. Naylor? Mr. Naylor? No, I'm even. Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Eldridge, your petition has been approved and you can get with our growth management department tomorrow. We do have to have the certificate signed off by Mr. Adele, and we'll get that done as soon as possible.
Alrighty, I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to COA 20-17.
Is Mr. Peter Captain or Frank Stanella present?
Frank Stanella present.
Thank you, sir. COA 2017 is for parcel 1263200. It's in the historic commercial district, and this is for a sign placement. Mr. Young, would you swear in Mr. Stanella?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You may proceed with your presentation.
Basically, it's a new restaurant. What we did was take the old DeSoto drugstore sign down, flipped it, and we did it almost exactly the way it was. That is the sign that we have made. And they asked me to send pictures of the neighboring signs on the neighbors across the street. You can see Hares Automotive has the exact same sign. And there's the barbershop sign, Ron sign down at Marion Street, and the tavern, and the leather shop. Basically, all we're looking to do is just hang the sign that was originally there, but it don't say DeSoto Drugs, just says, you know, Frankie's Place.
Do we have any questions from the public or comments? Mr. Adele?
We need a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Roll
Just to
call.
clarify, that was Miss George Ellis the first and Mr. Naylor the second?
Correct.
Thank you. Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Deverly?
Yes.
Miss George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Lidak is absent. All is approved to close the hearing. Any discussion from the board? Mr. Adele, go ahead.
If no discussion, then we need a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Adele, is that a yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Deverly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Sinelli, you can come to growth management tomorrow and move forward with your permitting, and we'll have that signed for you as soon as we can.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Moving on to COA 20-18.
Is Rebecca Frazier here, or someone from Signcraft, or agents for Norby or Martha Ronsonet? Rebecca Frazier or anyone from Signcraft, or anyone as agent for Norby or Martha Ronsonet?
I think I see a Rebecca trying to talk.
She's unmuted on our side. Miss Rebecca, if you can hear us, we can't unfortunately hear you. Miss Rebecca?
And there may be an unmute button on the left corner on the bottom of her screen. I don't know.
I see it there now.
Miss Rebecca?
She's unmuting, but it's not coming through.
Miss Rebecca, we're unable to hear you.
You have a phone number where you could contact her?
I believe I do, sir. Mute me for a second.
Deb, we can give her my phone number and she can call us if she can hear us. Can you hear us?
Rebecca. Hey, Miss Rebecca, we cannot hear you. Okay. Do you want to call Mr. Dave and he can try to help you out? I can give you his phone number.
Modern marvels are marvelous until you hit a problem.
Am I unmuted now?
Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay, Mr. Young, here's Miss Rebecca.
Oh, tell her to turn her camera back on though.
Please turn your camera back on so he can see you.
Could see her a second ago.
Can you turn your camera back on so she can see you?
Okay, can you hear me?
I don't think.
Okay. Raise your right hand.
All right.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
All right, present
All
your,
right, you're live now.
it's working.
Okay.
All right, Miss Rebecca here is to present a sign presentation or petition for the Ronsonet Buick, which is inside of the viewshed buffer of the Lake Isabella Historic District. The parcel is 13234-00. Go ahead, Miss Rebecca.
We're just requesting to take down the letters on the building that says Ronsonet, and we're replacing them with the same letters that say Lake City. They're made out of the same material, same lighted letters and everything. They're just gonna say Lake City.
Any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Adele, go ahead.
We need a motion to close the public hearing for COA 20-18.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Deverly, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Any any discussion from the board? Go ahead, Mr. Adele.
If there's no discussion, then we need a motion to approve or not approve COA 20-18.
I move approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn, Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Deverly, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Ms. Rebecca, you can move forward with the petition, come to growth management or call us tomorrow, and we'll get everything as far as the COA taken care of for you. Thanks for your patience.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to COA 20-19.
Mr. Riley of the Gateway Art Gallery, are you present?
Yes, I am.
All right, Mr. Riley's here to present 2019 petition for a sign in the Lake City Historical Commercial District, parcel 126866000, and that is the Gateway Art Gallery. Mr. Young, would you swear him in, please?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right. You may now present your case.
We are wanting to replace our old deteriorated signs of barely readable and actually relocate the signs. I submitted a computer mock-up of what it's going to look like. I don't know if everybody's had a chance to look at this, but that's what the new version is going to look like. We're going to take down the old sign that's above the awning. That's it.
Are there any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Adele, please go ahead.
Need a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Deverly, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Discussion by the board, please.
If we have no discussion, then we'll move for a motion to approve or not approve COA 20-19.
I move approval.
Second.
Roll call.
The second was by Ms. Georgelis.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Deverly, Ms. Georgelis, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Riley, you can move forward with the permitting process and we'll get the certificate of appropriateness to you as soon as possible.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you all very much.
Next, we have COA 2020. This will be presented by Jason Ellickson of Jason Ellickson Construction as a representative for Laquila Moultrie, owner of parcel 13318-009. This is a petition for a re-roof process. Mr. Young, would you swear Mr. Jason in if he's present?
Raise your hand, right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I think you're muted.
How about now?
There you are.
All right, I do.
You can present your case.
All right. This petition is for approval to install the metal roof on Miss Moultrie's home located at 266 Southeast McCrae Avenue.
Is there any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Adele?
If none, then we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close public hearing.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. Discussion
Discussion.
by the board?
If there are no discussions, I will move for a motion to approve or disapprove COA 20-20.
Move approval?
Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Ellickson, you can move forward with your permitting process and we'll get you that COA as soon as possible. And thank you for your patience.
All right, thank you.
Moving on to COA 20-21.
Ms. Susan Genser, are you present? Or a representative for Susan Genser, are you present?
See anyone with that name?
We don't have anyone with the name Susan
Some of
on
them are-
our,
Some of them are generic names, though.
Miss Susan, are you present?
Not looking good.
If you'll leave me, I'll try to call her.
We're gonna try calling her.
Okay.
No answer on her phone. Would you like to move forward with the next petition?
Well, we could move to table this one. I don't know if there's another fee they'd have to, if they're reapplying or whatever. Do we need to make a motion about table until the next meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time we'll accept a motion and about tabling this petition.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. We've tabled this petition COA 2021.
Moving on to COA 20-22.
Mr. Wayne Laxton, are you present?
Yes.
Great. Mr. Laxton is going to be presenting a petition for the Lake Isabella Historic District for a sign for Soul. And that is at parcel 13234-00. Mr. Young, will you swear him in?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
All right, you may now present your case.
Working with the owners of Soul Studio, they're wanting to take their banner down that they've had for a few years now. It's going to be a basic sign. If you see the picture there, it's a black powder coated aluminum sign, routed faces with push through white acrylic. It's going to look a little better than the banner.
Is there any questions or comments from the public? Mr. Odell?
If there's no questions from the public, we'll move to close the public hearing. Need a motion?
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
That was Ms. George Ellis and Mrs. Dubberly. Thank you. Mr. Odell?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor? Mr. Naylor?
Hello. Yes.
Hi. Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Is there any discussion from the board?
I make a motion that we approve COA 20-22.
Second.
Mr.
Okay.
Odell?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Laxon, you can move forward with the process to permit that sign, and we'll get you that certificate as soon as we can, and we appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need, any old business or workshop questions?
We have a few more petitions. COA 2023, Joy Lutz. Miss Lutz, are you on the line?
Uh-oh, another person we can't hear.
Miss Lutz, can you unmute your phone or your computer?
She was unmuted. Not working.
Miss Lutz,
She's talking, but it's not working.
we see you talking, but we can't hear you.
She said call her.
Oh, I found it.
Hey, it's Joy. I can't get to.
Oh, try again. She tried to answer. I think she might be calling you.
Hey, it's Joy.
She just said hi again. I don't know what's going on.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Joy.
Yes.
There's not going to be any way to stop the feedback, unfortunately. Am I unmuted? Actually, maybe if I mute her. No, she's muted. Yeah, we're not muted, but it's going to do that because the speakers are picking it up.
Mr. Young, can you swear Miss Lutz in?
Yes, I can. Ms. Lutz? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Yes.
You may now present your case.
Okay, so hopefully you have a presentation in front of you. Ours is a little more in-depth than the ones before us, so I will be quick with this. Our plan is to restore the house at 294 Camp Street, beginning with the roof. Currently, the roof is a complete loss, and it is causing lots of wood rot and water damage inside the house. And so we'd like to replace that with a metal roof. At that time, all exterior wood rot would also be repaired. We also would like to install decorative trim on the front of the house, which would keep it with the theme and character of the home. And we would do that at the top gables as well as the porch railings. We also would like to install window shutters on the front of the home. You can see the second page with decorative trimming where that would also go on the top porch and bottom porch. We would like to remove the unlicensed, unpermitted addition on the back of the house. It has caused a lot of water damage and was bad design, as well as not proper clearance with electric wiring. It also caused a lot of water runoff issues, and it was not repaired correctly. So all rot on the rear of the house would be repaired and replaced as well. As well as the door, we would be closing off the outside door to that unlicensed entryway. On the rear of the house, we would also like to replace the glass that's been broken in the upper windows, as well as the windows on the back of the house, which are aluminum, I guess, style windows, and replace that with something more conducive to the style of the house. We are potentially considering, so I'm going ahead and putting it in the plan, is making one of those windows a door. It was originally a door, so we would just bring it back to that historical aspect. And you can see in your pictures where that siding has been patched, where the door was there. We also would like to remove or replace a side window, which is an aluminum siding window as well, and replace that with something that fits more to the character and the theme of the house. We've also included paint colors for you. These colors were from the Sherwin-Williams historical paint color line, and to bring that back, I know the handout I'm looking at, the first color looks yellow, but it's actually Sherwin-Williams classic white, which is a very white color. So we would use those historic colors on the outside of the house as well. And then lastly, we would like to replace the cement walkway at the front of the house with a brick walkway. It is currently cracked and needs to be replaced and fixed. And that would bring it back to the character of the home. And that is hopefully it.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any discussions from the public or any questions from the public? Mr. Adele?
I have a question. Was Ms. Lutz, was she here before doing a presentation once before?
No, I was not.
Okay, that's a different house then. All right, then we need to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Stubberly? Mrs. George Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is present. Is there any discussion from the board?
No, Mr. Leidick's absent.
I'm sorry, Mr. Laddick is absent. My apologies. Is there any discussion from the board?
I'd just like to commend the applicant that for the work they're going to be doing on this structure.
If only we knew what we were getting into beforehand.
And you've had Chris helping you, right? Across the yes.
Do we need to make a motion for approval or disapproval?
Move we approve.
Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
George Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Stubberly? Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Laddick is absent. Ms. Joy, you can come by or you can have your contractors come and start the permitting process. and we'll get you this letter as soon as possible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Moving on.
I would suggest that we take the next 2024 through 2027 as one.
Mr. Phillips, are you here, or anyone from Norton Home Improvements, or anyone representing Mr. Ronsonet? Mr. Everett Phillips? I'm going to attempt to call Mr. Phillips, but I don't see him on our screen. I was unable to contact Mr. Phillips. Would you like to vote to table these matters?
I'll make a motion, we table COA 2024, 2025, 2026, 27.
Second.
Okay.
That was Mr. Vaughn who made the motion. Thank you. Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. That has been tabled. We have one last petition to present to you for the Historic Board Certificate of Appropriateness 2028 by the Lewis Walker Roofing, Amy Scorin, or the owner from the Hybers LLC. Is anyone present?
Yeah, this is Gary Rashi with Lewis Walker Roofing.
Thank you, Mr. Rashi. And this is for parcel 1196900. And this is a re-roofing process in the Commercial Historic District. Mr. Young, would you swear him in, please?
Raise your right hand, please, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may proceed with your case.
We've got it's the Dive building, the office part of it, not the warehouse part, but the old office part. And there's the roof that's on there is about 3 layers. It's metal on the top, and it's 2 pretty ugly layers underneath there. We're going to tear that. We'd like to tear that whole roof off, all right, down to the old deck, repair the deck, and then we're going to go over it with some 2-inch dense insulation board, and then what we call TPO, which is like a heavy vinyl 60 mil TPO, commercial grade roof, will be sealed down to that 2-inch ISO deck. And then it will bring it up the walls, and it'll be a nice coping cap, just like there's an old metal cap on the edges of the building right now. It'll be returned to the original condition with new coping cap around the top.
Is there a discussion from the board or questions, or excuse me, from the public? Mr. Adele, please go ahead.
If there are no discussions, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close public hearing on
Second.
2018, no, 2028.
Roll call.
That was Ms. George Ellis to motion and Mr. Naylor to second.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly, Ms. George Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn, excuse me, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Discussion by the board, please.
There's no discussion. We need a motion to approve or not approve.
Move approval? I'll second.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn, Ms. Duvberly,
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Mr. Rossi, you can please move forward with the permitting process and we'll get this letter to you as soon as possible. And thank you for your patience.
Good. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Those are all the petitions for COAs that we have for tonight. We'll be moving on to the Planning and Zoning Board after the closing of this meeting. Mr. Adele,
We need a motion to close this board.
To adjourn the board.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. Motion to adjourn has been approved.
I believe we're moving on to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Roll call, Mr. Adele,
Yes. Here.
Mr. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly, Ms. George Ellis, Mr. Laddick's absent, Mr. Naylor.
Yes.
Approval of past minutes from August 4th, please.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for the zoning from August the 4th.
Second.
Thank you. New business, we have a comp plan amendment 2006 for the city of Lake City. Mr. David Young will be presenting and I will swear Mr. Young in. This petition is a comprehensive plan text amendment, changing the floor area ratio from 0.5 industrial and 0.75 industrial light and warehouse to 1.0 floor area ratio zoning districts to industrial light warehouse as now lying within the city of Lake City, Florida city limits. Mr. Young, do you solemnly swear to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please proceed, sir.
The city would like to increase the floor area ratios, which would allow for taller buildings to be built within the industrial and light and warehouse areas to increase it to 1.0 from the current 0.5 and 0.75. Like I said, this is to increase the size of the buildings being taller. They still have to adhere to all the setbacks, parking regulations, everything else. They're just allowed to go 1 to 2 stories depending on the square footage they have on their property.
Any questions or comments from the public, please? Mr. Adele?
I guess we need a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Vaughn? Mr. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Laddick is absent. Discussion by the board, please.
For my own information, Mr. Young, what exactly does this mean?
This means that we can allow for taller buildings to come in on the industrial instead of being regulated to 1 story. They're able to go multi-story and allow parking to be multi-story on it.
So we're talking about 2nd and 3rd story?
Yes, sir.
Any higher than
Depends on the size of their property.
Okay.
Because that's the 1.0 would be the square footage of their property, would be the square footage of the building. So they can take if it's 5,000 square feet, they could go 1,000 foot,
Okay.
square foot stories.
Thank you.
I make a motion that we approve CAT 20-06.
Second.
Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Everly,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig is absent. We have motion to approve CPA 2006.
Mr. Young can now proceed to the city and
Mr. Tyler Turner, are you present for zoning 2009?
Yes.
Great. Mr. Tyler Turner is going to present for Isaac Schlimmer. He's the agent for parcel 11695-00, requesting a zoning change from residential single family to residential multifamily. Please go ahead and get sworn in by Mr. Young. Mr. Tyler?
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may now proceed.
Yeah, we'd like to petition to rezone the parcel in question from residential single family to residential multifamily, and with the plan of having a site plan, which is the next order, for some duplexes to be constructed.
Are there any questions or comments by the public, please? Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
go
are you
ahead.
able to hear me?
Yes.
Are you able to? Yes, as residents in the area where 11695-08 has been requested to be rezoned to residential multifamily, we have some objection to that because the residents in this area have chosen this area because of single family residency, and they would like to continue to enjoy that. Also, there's concerns about the environmental impact because that's very swampy land, and the area here has already long-term draining issues. The road is poorly maintained, and with multiple family housing there, there'll be also a traffic and noise issue, and also an impact on the value of the homes in the single family area.
Any further comments from the public or questions? Mr. Adele?
we need a motion to close the public hearing if there's no one else to speak for or against.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Everly?
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
Mr. Leidig is absent. Please proceed with comments and discussions from the board.
Mr. Young, does the city have some issues for this property?
I would have to refer that to Ms. Beverly. She's got the staff analysis there.
The city staff has no objections. They will have to go before customer service for tap fees, but any and other departments have no objections or comments.
Do any of the other board members have any comments? If no more discussion, then we need to either have a motion to approve, motion to disapprove, or
Do we have any motions? Table this motion?
Beverly, if there's no motions, then what is the next step that happens?
Do you wish to table this motion?
Move that we table Z 2010 to the next meeting.
And that was Ms. George Ellis?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Yes.
And that was Mr. Naylor requesting to table to the next meeting.
No, Mr. Bond.
Mr. Bond, thank you. Roll call, Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Ms. George Ellis,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly,
Yes.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Laddick is absent. That was tabled until the next meeting. The next meeting is on November 3rd. We do not have enough time to prepare this for the paper and advertise, so that'll be the first Tuesday in December. Mr. Tyler Turner is also here to present the petition for the site plan approval for 2011. This petition is for the same parcel of land that has been tabled. Mr. Young, how do we proceed?
Well, that'd be up to Mr. Turner and Mr. And Isaac to whether they want to withdraw this one and present it at the next planning and zoning meeting.
Would there be, would there be any impact if we move forward with the site plan approval or denial and came back to the other motion that was tabled with the rezoning?
Yes, sir. But if this gets denied, then your request for zoning change is.
Mr. Young, I have a question. If you've tabled the zoning, how are you going to do a site plan review on something that's not zoned for that site plan?
Yes, sir. That's what we're looking at. That's what I'm saying. They should withdraw this and to be heard at the same time as the zoning request on the next city or planning and zoning meeting in December.
Is it a withdrawal or does it need to be tabled with the same thing? Or is there a difference between those two statuses?
It can either way, it can be tabled or it can be withdrawn.
Mr. Turner, would you like to withdraw to December?
Can we table?
Okay. I will put that in the notes and then the board doesn't have to vote on that, correct, Mr. Young?
Yes, they're making a motion, then it'll have to be a motion to table it.
Mr. Turner asked to table it.
Now, he can withdraw it, he can't table it.
Okay, Mr. Turner, would you wish to withdraw until December?
Are we going to have to reapply if we withdraw and present it at a different meeting than the December meeting?
You'll have to present it in December.
Okay, yeah, we withdraw.
All righty, thank you, sir. And we'll be in contact with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next petition is 20-12. It's going to be presented by Jim Zuber for Cornerstone Partners for parcel 02714-011. Mr. Zuber, if you're present, would you please raise your right hand for Mr. Dave to swear you in?
Yes, I'm here. Jim Zuber here.
Mr. Zuber, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir, I do.
You may now proceed.
Yes, we want to submit the petition for consideration of the site plan approval for a proposed hotel, multi-story in the area that's in the Westfield Square addition. Currently, there's a VA clinic there that would be well served by guests to come in or patients to come in for procedures and checkups in that area. And there's some additional parking that is in reserve with the land use per our engineer that is available at that part of the lot. And there's the drainage system would permit an additional 5,000 square foot of impervious, along with some understorage under the proposed parking area that would be added. So it I think would be a nice enhancement for that area. We've got decent restaurants. We had a pre-meeting an acknowledgement that utilities were available to service that well, and that we have a frontage road and a commerce drive to work off of at the traffic light of US 90 as far as traffic flow. So we are excited for the opportunity to expand that.
Any comments or questions from the public? Mr. Adele?
The question, I guess, if we approve the site plan application, does it still go to city council as well?
Yes.
I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion, we close public hearing.
Second.
Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly? Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Lidick is absent. Can we please have some comments or discussion from the board, please? We do have a site staff analysis from the city. There was no comments or no disapproval. We would recommend it as it would benefit the business and economy in that area as well as the rest of Lake City.
Make a motion, we approve SPR-20-12.
I'll second.
That was Mrs. Dubberly, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Bond? Roll call, Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Lidick is absent. We have motion to approve SPR 2012. Mr. Zuber, the city will be in contact with you. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, thank you very much. We're excited to be working with you on this new project. We look forward to it. Thanks for everybody's help.
Our final petition is for Lance Jones for Walt Graham or Walter Graham, parcel 014S1602675000 and parcel 014S1602703011. This is a site plan review for commercial development. Mr. Jones, are you here?
Here.
Would you raise your right hand for Mr. Young to swear you in?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You may now proceed.
Yes, sir. So this is for a site plan application for Graham Electric. What they're looking to accomplish through this is parking their utility vehicles and make the site more usable. Right now, the existing pond prevents them from accessing that backside. So what we're looking to do is to relocate the pond and to have that circulation route to the parking lot on the north side for them to park their vehicles, and then also setting it up for a future pole barn accessory structure. That's it.
Thank you. Is there any comments from the public or questions? Mr. Adele?
This time we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Close public hearing.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Adele?
Yes.
Mr. Bond?
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly?
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis?
Yes.
Mr. Naylor?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidig is absent. Is there any comments or questions among the board?
Did he have any problems?
Not that I'm aware of.
The city staff doesn't see any issues or any disapproval.
Okay. Any other discussions? If there's no other discussions, we need a motion to approve or not approve.
I move approval.
Second.
Roll call.
That was Mr. Naylor and Mr. Bond.
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Adele,
Yes.
Mr. Bond,
Yes.
Ms. Georgelis,
Yes.
Ms. Dubberly, Mr. Naylor,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig is absent. That is a motion to approve SPR 2013. Mr. Jones will be in contact with you as for moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
That was the last petition.
Moving on to any old business?
Mr. Young, was there any workshops for this meeting?
I put it in the front that carried on to all three of the boards. That's where we need to discuss the chairmanship and vice chairmanship of the committee.
Okay. Mr. Adele,
We need a motion to adjourn, I believe.
So moved. Good night.
good night.